Hey everyone, Tony Walsh here. Welcome back to the channel, and this new series is going to be called Tool Tuesday. Y'all know we've moved back to the farm, or what we call the farmstead, and you can see behind me a toolbox there and a storage rack there with the red, blue, and yellow bins, and I spoke about them before. But in a recent video, I talked about my drip irrigation and the expense we were going through with that, and said it was an investment, you know, moving back to the farmstead and starting this gardening and all that we're doing. And it's really the same way with tools. You know, when you move from a subdivision where everything's new or newish, you know, you don't have that many repairs, so you don't need that many tools. Well, when you move to the country, sometimes you got to work on stuff yourself, so I've had to start investing in tools. This isn't going to be a how-to or anything like that. Some things are brand new, and I'll just show them to you and why we bought them. Other things, I have some old stuff that I've showed you before, and I want to get back to working shape. Won't necessarily be restored. If I do restore it, it won't be to mint condition. It'll just be to use, some of it may be to use, some of it may be wall art, because my hope is one day that we have this interior finished up and cleaned up, and it becomes sort of a slash man cave, canning kitchen, whatever. Heck, I might even let D from D and Doug Retired build a bedroom in this thing. You know, I don't know. But anyways, with the tools, you know, I just want to share with you what I got, why I got, and of course, hopefully some of you more experienced homesteaders, farmsteaders can give me some whys and where to's and how fors and all that stuff, and say, well, you dummy, you shouldn't have bought that. You should have done this over here. So, like I say, it's just another way for us to stay connected and just talk about life in general. So what is the first thing? And some of them may just be about one tool, some of them may be about multiples of tools. You know, I try to keep my videos anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes long, so a lot of that's going to depend on what the tool is and how much I have to talk about it. Like I say, some of it's very simple. I am not brand loyal to any tool. I have all different colors of tools, while my new favorite color is red. It's really always been red, but you know, with the boys playing sports, I went to blue, because that's our community colors. But you know, I'm just sort of going back to my roots, which was red. A couple of things: red for the blood of Jesus, and red for International Harvester tractors, because that's what I grew up on, but also red for the Georgia Bulldogs. But I digress. So what is my first tool today that I'm going to talk about? Yes, some of y'all will call this a barn. We call it a pack house, because this is where they used to pack all the tobacco once the tobacco was picked, waiting to go to the warehouse. And you can see it's starting to get cluttered up again, so I got to get back to cleaning. And you can see my workbench. At one time it was clean, but it's getting dirty again, so because I built that shelf and got it full. But one thing we have a lack of is electrical outlets. So I only had one right there with, you know, just a dual outlet, but you know, there's sometimes I need more than two. So we have invested in this, get the camera here where you can see it, this 12 outlet super power strip. It's not nothing expensive by no means, but just something to give me a little bit more options on plugging stuff in, you know, because we got, you know, a lot of battery operated tools, and sometimes you just need to leave a charger plugged in. Of course, this cord here that plugs in is to those lights at the far end. So of course, when we're in here, I got to leave that up. So just an option there. So let me see where we're going to get this put up. Okay, so we have the multi-outlet strip mounted up there, and it worked out just right. The bolt holes worked out in the studs, so didn't have to do any configuring on that. I used a little mini level to level it up. It's a heart, and it's magnetic on this side, so I can just leave it right there just for storage. The only thing I'm not sure about now is, being this low, this cord hangs out over the workbench, so I may end up having to move some of that stuff where I can raise this plug up. So even if I got my Milwaukee drill set, because that's what I drilled the holes with there. So even if I've got the charger plugged up, I've got the charger sitting on the floor or on the bench, so I'm not sure if that'll be the final height or not. But what's the next tool we're going to talk about? Okay, continuing on with our new tool Tuesday. Jackie and I had to make a run to Harbor Freight. So, yeah, if you watch how they do their pricing, we ended up with 2 5-gallon buckets free. Yeah, they probably got the price buried in, but you know what? You don't get 5-gallon buckets at Rural King. You don't get 5-gallon buckets at Tractor Supply. You don't get 5-gallon buckets at Lowe's. So, hey, if I can get a 5-gallon bucket for free, I'm going to go for it. But some of the things that we just bought is I needed an impact wrench, and I had one with a cord and it tore up, so I wanted to go cordless, go to battery operated, and I was, looked at 2 or 3 different ones, and yeah, you can buy the Milwaukees, the DeWalts and all that, but I don't need to spend that kind of money for no more than I do. So I was looking at Harbor Freight, and they have oh gosh, I can't even remember the cheap brand, because I have some of those tools and they have worked fine. But then they got Bauer, which is their midline, and then gosh, I can't even remember what the best one is. Hercules. It's their best line. So I went in the middle with Bauer, because for the money that included the battery in the charger compared to the Hercules, I would have spent twice as much. Still not as much as a DeWalt or a Milwaukee, but again, I don't need to spend that kind of money. So this is my first Bauer tool, so we're going to give it a shot. Of course, and then had to get some impact sockets for it. Got a valve stem leaking on a tire, so got me a kit there. Jackie bought her some gloves. We got some swivel wheels for an upcoming project, and spent a little bit more there than I wanted to, but the one thing I liked is these have a grease fitting on them, because the project we're going to have, it's going to be sitting out in the dirt, so this gives us a chance there. And we got some hardware cloth, and you'll see why we have hardware cloth in another video. Yeah, that's going to end our Tool Tuesday, or New Tool Tuesday, whatever I said I'm going to call this thing. That's going to end this inaugural video. And again, I don't want anybody to think I'm bragging on being able to buy these tools. If somebody would have told me on January 1st, 2024, when we made the decision to move back to the farm, I would have been spending this kind of money to do these things, I'd have said, you're nuts. If you'd have asked me on January 1, 2025, even though we had already been living here for a few months, that I was going to be spending this kind of money, I'd have told you you're nuts. But we have fell in love with this lifestyle. If you're watching my gardening videos, we're taking it to the extreme level, in my opinion. Now, there are way bigger gardeners out there, way more proficient and professional gardeners than we are. But again, January 1, 2025, I'd have said you're nuts if I would have been doing this today. So I just want to share the tools that it takes to homestead, farmstead, garden. You'll see in an upcoming video, we now have some animals of a feathered kind. So I'll wait and save that later. So again, just more investment, and that's what we consider this. This is an investment in our future. Trying to go, I won't say we're going to go off grid. I won't say we're prepping or whatever. We're just trying to be more self-sufficient and less sufficient on the government, the big box stores and stuff like that. So again, not a brag, just a help to anybody that is thinking about starting out. You got to have more than seeds. You got to have more than flower pots. It's the behind the scenes stuff And I'm going to be asking for advice on how to use some of this stuff. If I buy something and, it was a waste of money, feel free to call me out on it. Call me a dingling, call me a dummy, because this is all new to me. So I just wanted to share with you the tools. And if you have a better tool, let me know. I'm more than willing to take advice, constructive criticism, or whatever. But as I said in one of the earlier clips too, it's just a way for you and I to stay connected, because we're all in this crazy world together. It's us against the government. It's us against the big corporation giants. So any help we can offer for each other, me personally, I greatly appreciate it. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Till we get back together, y'all take care and God bless.